Hi friends, welcome to Raising Lifelong Learners. I'm your host, Colleen Kessler, and this is the podcast where I encourage you to trust yourself and your differently wired kiddos as you help cultivate their curiosity, encourage them to discover the world around them, embrace who they are wired to be, all while helping them discover their passions, interests, and raise them to become the amazing adults they're meant to be. Hey, welcome back. This is episode 285. I'm so glad you're here today. We are talking all about helping our kids make decisions. Making decisions is a skill that we continue to work on throughout our lifetime, but we can get our kids into a nice position for being able to use their executive function skills to help them make and stick with decisions, even early on. Okay, so before we get on with this new episode, I want to give a special shout out to CTC Math. I'm so grateful that they are continuing to sponsor the podcast. Check them out at ctcmath.com. You'll hear more about them later on in this episode, but we have a brand new sponsor starting today as well, and I want to tell you a little bit more about them. So pop those earbuds in, grab yourself a snack or a warm drink, and curl up or go for a walk, and let's hear all about Night Zookeeper, and then let's get on with today's episode. I'm so excited about sharing this topic with you. Hey there, if you are looking for a fun and stress-free way to tackle language arts in your homeschool this year, let me tell you about something that could be a total game changer for your homeschool, Night Zookeeper. It's an award-winning online program that helps kids ages 6 to 12 build their writing, reading, and spelling skills. And the best part? They actually love it. Seriously, it's so engaging and interactive that your kids won't even realize they're learning. We used Night Zookeeper in our homeschool when my girls were younger, and they had a blast creating stories and characters. This fall, my youngest son is jumping in, and I'm especially excited because he's a bit of a reluctant writer. I love knowing he'll get gentle encouragement and even personalized feedback from real tutors, so I don't have to be the one hovering over to correct all his errors and help him become a better writer. He will have somebody else helping him. Here's why homeschoolers like me love Night Zookeeper. It's fun. Kids can play independently through thousands of games and activities for grades 1 through 6. It's comprehensive, covering reading, writing, spelling, grammar, and more. It's trackable. You get a parent dashboard to monitor progress and even assign custom tasks. It's personalized because the tutors inside Night Zookeeper give feedback on your child's writing, which is huge. And it's offline too. There are free monthly printables delivered right to your inbox. Oh, and better yet, there's a 7-day free trial, so your kids can dive into the magical world of Night Zookeeper risk-free. You can check it out at the link in the show notes or at nightzookeeper.com. And let me know what your kids create. I have a feeling they are going to love it. And I want to give a special thanks to Night Zookeeper for sponsoring the podcast. It's sponsors like that keep the podcast going. We appreciate their support and we want to show support in return. So if you're in the market for a new language arts program for your kids ages 6 through 12, you definitely need to check it out. Let them know that you heard about it on the Raising Lifelong Learners podcast, and let me know if you have any questions. I can't wait to hear how it goes for you. All right, are you ready? Let's get on with today's episode. Hey there. Okay, welcome back to another episode of Raising Lifelong Learners. I'm so glad you're here. So let's get on with today's episode. I am so glad that you are here. Grab yourself a cup of coffee or tea and settle in because we are diving deeply in to something that comes up all the time when you're homeschooling gifted, twice exceptional, or otherwise neurodivergent kids. Decision making. In fact, it comes up so often that we are dedicating the entire month of August, next month, to this topic inside the Learners Lab. We are going to dive into how to help our kids make decisions, why there is a struggle when it comes to neurodivergent kids and decision making, specifically executive function skills, and how we can help our kids and how we can help them help themselves. Here's the thing. It seems like a super simple task, right? Just decide what you're going to do. Decide what you're going to work on. Decide what you're going to play. Decide how you're going to spend your day today. But that seemingly simple task can often send our brilliant, creative, outside the box thinkers into a full on meltdown. Whether it's deciding what to write about for an assignment, or which class to sign up for at co op, or what activity to do at home. Should I pull out my Legos? Should I work on a stop motion? Maybe I'll just tune in to Roblox or Minecraft because I don't have to think then. Decisions can feel huge for our kids. And today we're going to talk about why that is, how executive function plays a role, and most importantly, what we as homeschooling parents can do to help our kids. So let's get into it. So first, let's talk about why decision making is so hard for neurodivergent kids. Here's the thing. Decision making isn't just about choosing between A and B. It involves a whole bunch of executive function skills. And if you remember from past episodes, executive functions are like the central command chief of the brain and the body. It's the center. Your executive functions are what allows you to do everything you need to do. Make decisions, plan ahead, initiate tasks, prioritize and execute those tasks, follow through on those tasks. And so making decisions involves a whole bunch of those. You need to plan, you need your working memory to know what's going on and to make sure you're following all of the steps. You need emotional regulation in the process because sometimes things go wrong and we need to be able to bounce with those negatives or those mistakes. And we need flexible thinking when we're making decisions because sometimes making a decision requires outside the box thinking or thinking about all angles. If your kiddo struggles in any of those areas, as most neurodivergent kids do, that decision starts to feel like a mountain to them, just insurmountable and so difficult to even tackle. Gifted and twice exceptional kiddos especially wrestle with this. They're so used to being good at things, often without trying, especially in the early years. The pressure to get it right can paralyze them. The idea that there's one right decision for them and for everybody, and their entire life hinges on that decision, is overwhelming and pulls out their inner perfectionist. So they struggle to even make any kind of decision. What if they choose wrong? What if they disappoint someone? What if they don't like the outcome? And for twice exceptional kids, those who have a combination of advanced abilities as well as learning differences, decision making is like navigating a tightrope. Their mind might race ahead while their brain's brakes aren't quite working right. And they just don't know how to stop themselves, how to make that choice that they need to make and then move forward with that choice. It's not about laziness. It's not about defiance. Often it's about overwhelm, fear, or just not knowing where to start. We need to be there to support our kids. And in that support, we need to understand what's going on in their brains. And so kind of revisiting that idea of executive functions would be a good thing for us when our kids struggle with making decisions. I'm going to make sure that I put lots of links in the show notes for this episode to past episodes and posts on the website about executive function skills. So make sure, if that's an area in which you know your kids struggle, you go back to the show notes for this episode to check out those links to remind yourself what executive function struggles your kids might be struggling with. When our kids begin to struggle with making decisions because of any number of reasons, that perfectionism we talked about, the worry that they might make the only one wrong decision possible, or any other issue related to it, they may start facing what we call decision paralysis. And I want to talk about what that looks like at home and in real life. So let's imagine you set up a cozy space for your kiddo and you want them to pick a topic to research. This is especially true for those of us who are trying to find or follow an interest-led curriculum or a strength-based approach to learning, where we really want our kids to have input in what they're going to choose to learn. And I have some solutions for that. I'm going to be sharing with you in the next few weeks something that I've been working on where I can work with a small group of kids and help them come up with an idea for what they want to learn about, and then execute the actual research portion and the product creation portion with feedback from me and other kids who are doing the same thing. So I will keep you posted. If you want more information about that, or you think it's something that you might be interested in or your kids might be interested in, totally wouldn't mind if you shoot me an email or hit respond to any of the emails that you get in your inbox if you're on our list, because I'd love to hear that you're interested in it so I can make sure that I bump that to the top of the priority list. Also, if you're not a member of our email list, you might want to get on it, because this offering will definitely go out to subscribers first. And I'll have a limited number of spots available for it, because I can't take everybody, because I'm going to be working with the kids myself. And so in order for something like this to work, we really need a smaller cohort. So say you have set that up for your kids. You've asked them to come up with an idea for something that they want to learn about, but they freeze. They stare at all these choices you've offered them. They stare at all of the books or resources you've pulled to give them like a jump start to their ideas. Maybe your kid is super interested in natural sciences, so you've got all these different ideas brainstormed about different animals, different climates, different topography, different places in the world, and biomes, and just different places. And they just look at all of them and they're like, I can't do this. They freeze. They stare at the choices. They might groan like, I don't know what, I'm not interested in anything. They might cry, melt down, get overwhelmed. You might suggest something and they reject it because your idea isn't their idea, but they don't know how to get to their idea, and the decisions and choices in front of them are overwhelming. And suddenly your whole day seems derailed. Your whole idea seems impossible to achieve, and you feel like you absolutely cannot do any kind of interest-based learning or unit study-based learning or strength-based learning, because you feel like you're the only one doing any work to set that up, and your kids are just being difficult. But in fact, they're not being difficult. They would really love to do something like that, but they don't know how to say it, and they don't know how to make that decision. They're just paralyzed from the choices in front of them, because what if they choose the wrong animal? What if they choose the wrong biome? What if they choose something that they end up hating and their life's miserable, and they realize that they don't want to actually do that in the future, and everything's derailed from there? These are the thoughts that are going through their heads, and it is keeping them from being able to move forward in any way. Or maybe you're at a co-op or an enrichment class sign up, and your kids have to make a decision about which classes they're going to take for this semester of co-op, or which set of classes they're going to take based on the amount of time you have and the time slots that are available at the Fine Arts Center or whatever. And your kiddo panics. There's too many options. There's too little clarity. And so because they just can't get past the overwhelm, they just end up picking nothing. Or the deadline just passes them by. Does this sound familiar? Have you ever experienced, if not these exact scenarios, something similar? You're not alone. But these moments aren't just frustrating. They're clues to what's going on with your kiddos. When kids shut down or act out around decisions and decision making, they're showing us that something deeper is happening. They're showing us that maybe they're afraid of making a wrong choice. Maybe they put so much pressure on themselves, they're worried that it will ruin their life forever. Maybe they're afraid of disappointing you. Maybe they're afraid of disappointing themselves. Maybe they've been masking their anxiety, or maybe they've just hit their executive function limit for the day and can't do another thing. When we respond with, come on, you got to pick something, or why is this so hard for you? Or just make a choice. We have to put something down. We're missing the chance to teach our kids the skill behind the struggle, and we're missing an opportunity to empathize with them, validate that sometimes decision making is really tough for some kids, and their brains work in a way that shuts them down when decisions have to be faced. And so we want to help them help themselves with some of these tools that we can create. So let's talk about 5 practical strategies that we can use to build decision-making skills. Okay, so let's talk about math. Specifically, let's talk about finding a program that actually works for your unique homeschoolers. In our house, we've been using CTC Math for years. And even though I am so appreciative that they sponsor this podcast, I am a paying customer. I'm still a paying customer even with their sponsorship because it's just that good and I love supporting great companies with great programs. With 2 kids still at home, both with very different learning needs, CTC Math has been the flexible and dependable solution that I keep coming back to. One of my kiddos needs more time to process math concepts, and I love that she can move through the lessons at her own pace without feeling rushed or behind. My other kiddo, he flies. He jumps straight to the end of unit tests to see what he already knows, and then we only focus on the lessons that fill the gaps. That kind of customization is gold when you're homeschooling gifted or twice exceptional kids. CTC Math gives you the access to every grade level, from kindergarten through 12th grade with your subscription, so that your child can accelerate, review, or jump around based on their own needs, not based on some rigid curriculum structure. And because it's video-based with clear instruction and auto-graded lessons and quizzes, it frees me up to support my kids without being chained to a textbook, teacher's manual, or whiteboard. So whether your child needs more time or is racing ahead, you can tailor it all with CTC Math. Check it out at ctcmath.com. You will see why so many homeschool families trust it. And if you've got quirky math learners like I do, I think you're going to love it. If you have any questions about CTC, like I said, we've been using it for years in our homeschool, and I encourage you to reach out and ask me any questions that you have. If you do pop over there, let them know that I sent you and let them know that you appreciate their ongoing support of homeschoolers everywhere, especially those of you here at Raising Lifelong Learners. All right, let's get back to today's episode. Okay, we're back, and so let's talk about those 5 practical strategies to build our decision-making skills in our kids. And this is the good stuff. This is what we can actually do to help and facilitate these decision-making skills in our home. Like I said, we are going to be taking a deep dive into each of these ideas along with others inside the Learners Lab in the month of August. We'll be talking about these in our Feelings in Focus class. We will be tackling it in our Doodle Club, as well as our creative thinking classes, where we're journaling and coming up with methods and tools for diving deeply into decision making. And then our group coaching for parents will focus on these kinds of questions. So one of the first things that we can do for our kids is we can help them scaffold decision making just like we help them scaffold their learning. What I mean by scaffolding is, first I want you to picture like an artist's scaffold, where they start small and they build up as they create the mural on the side of the building, or a builder's scaffold that's, building the elevator shaft that's going to go into the new apartment complex. And the scaffold is growing along with the outcome of the building as it progresses and emerges in front of you. We want to do the same thing with our kids' learning, which is why we start with building blocks like grammar and math basic facts, and then we build on from those building blocks. So we want to start small. Instead of, what do you want to study this year? We could try, would you like to start with science or history today? Or for this year, we're going to ease into our school year and we're going to start with reading and math. What would be the 3rd subject that you would like us to start with? Would you like us to start with writing or science or history added into the reading and math? Break it down just like you would when you're teaching long division or essay writing or any other skill. So scaffold the decision making so your kids are making bigger and bigger decisions as they go. The second strategy we could use is using visual tools. Visuals are lifesavers for executive dysfunction and for kids who struggle specifically with making decisions. You can try a choice board for project ideas, a checklist for decision steps, or even a laminated flowchart with yes/no questions to guide them. The bonus is that visuals reduce the emotional and mental load on them, so they're more easily able to cope. When we do our feelings in focus, which used to be called our EQ challenge lab in the learners lab, the kids are presented with a choice board each month related to the topic. So a choice board is simply like a tic-tac-toe board or some kind of like creation that has multiple choices of activities. So in our feelings in focus, for example, say we're working on the theme of making decisions, I would do a short lesson with the kids about making decisions, why it's important to learn to make decisions skillfully, why it's important to build up to making decisions, how it relates to executive function skills, and what social, emotional, mental, cognitive, and academic benefits there are to being a good decision maker, and explain to them why we're even working on that for this month. And then I'd introduce the choice board. On the choice board, there would be 9 choices of activities that the kids can choose from to work on with their family, because this is a family activity. We all can work on things like this. And they can choose from those. And if it's a busy month, they can do one activity from that choice board. If it's a slower month and there's more time, they can make a tic-tac-toe line, or they can fill in all 9 activities, whichever they want, or whichever you decide as a family, but they're given choices. So even if you have a very busy month or an already full schedule and you choose to just do one activity from that choice board, your kids have 9 different options for successful working on decision-making skills. You can use choice boards in your own school by simply drawing a tic-tac-toe board, and in each of the spaces, you can add a different choice for the activity. So say they're learning about lizards. You could give them choices for how to tell you the information that they've learned. They could do a book report. They could draw a diagram labeling all the parts of a lizard. They could do a short presentation to you and dad at the dinner table. They can create a picture book about lizards for a younger family member, whatever. You can create these choice boards. But any kind of visual gives your kids opportunities to make decisions within a smaller framework and in a very visual way. Going along with that point about using visual tools, another strategy you can use is offering limited but meaningful choices. Too many options can be overwhelming for kids who struggle with executive function and who struggle to make decisions specifically. So narrow it down to 2 or 3 choices you're comfortable with. This is a strategy we used, I'm sure you used. I used it for sure when I had toddlers and preschoolers. I would say, okay, today for lunch, do you want the red bowl or the blue bowl with your mac and cheese? I didn't say, what bowl would you like? Because, oh my gosh, anarchy would ensue. And so we gave our kids, when they were toddlers and preschoolers, limited but meaningful choices. We can do the same with our kids. So when you narrow it down to 2 or 3 choices that you're comfortable with and would give them the learning and the decision-making skills that they need, you can frame it with autonomy so they know that they're making their own decision. You can say, you can read on the couch or outside, which feels better for you today. You can show me your math by doing it on a piece of paper, and I'll enter it into the computer for you if it's too distracting to be on the computer today. Or I can leave you alone, you can get it done and come tell me so I can come check your outcome. Give them small choices so they're able to make decisions for themselves and feel like they had a say in how their learning went. You can also practice micro decisions throughout the day. We often think of big academic or life choices, but the tiny little decisions build the skills muscles that we need to be able to eventually make those big academic and life choices. Let them choose their snack. Let them choose the order of the subjects that they're going to tackle for the day, or which book you're going to read aloud, or what documentary you're going to watch, or whether you're going to watch a documentary or do a read aloud for the day. These little wins and little choices build confidence and show them that they're capable of making decisions that work out for everybody. And then finally, one of the other things that we can do with our kids that's really meaningful and really impactful is we can reflect and we can debrief. After a decision, circle back and ask, how'd that go for you? Would you do differently next time? It helps them start connecting actions with outcomes. This is a crucial piece of executive function skill building. When they can make those connections, cause and effect, actions and consequences, actions and outcomes, they start to see that what they choose can have both a positive and a negative impact. And they can start to see that some of their choices are super positive and some are negative, but most of the time the negatives don't kill off a day. And so they can tackle the next decision with a little bit more confidence, knowing that they're going to be just fine if the decision doesn't end up the way they want it to. So how do we support them as a parent? How can we do this in a loving and empathetic and valid way so that they know that we're there for them? Let's talk about our role in this situation. The first thing that we need to do when we're helping our kids make decisions and be confident in those decisions is co-regulate. Our child's brain borrows our calm, especially when we have kids who have a propensity for anxiety or anxiousness or worry, or tend to get overwhelmed and melt down. If we can stay calm in the process, our kids can borrow that calm from us and can boost up their own calm. If they're spiraling, your steady tone, your gentle support can bring them back to center. Let them know their feelings of overwhelm are valid. Let them know that it is totally normal to feel overwhelmed and to feel paralyzed sometimes when decisions have to be made, but you're there for them and they can do it and you have faith in them. So co-regulate them by keeping yourself calm, keeping yourself steady, keeping yourself positive so that they can start to feel that way as well. Second, use collaborative language. Say, let's figure this out together. You don't have to make all these decisions on your own. I'm here to help you. And even when you're outside the home, I say this to my teenage daughter that's getting ready to go off to college. If you face something and you're not quite ready to make the decision on your own, I am only a text away. You can text me, you can call me, you can FaceTime me. She just FaceTimed me the other day. She went shopping with some friends for some dorm decor and essentials and was struggling between a couple different choices. So she FaceTimed me right there in the store so I could see her choices and I can weigh in. Ultimately, she couldn't make that decision, so she decided that she would purchase that particular item a different day, and instead she went with the other purchases that she was ready to make without being overwhelmed with the decision making. So let them know that we can figure it out together. You're there for them. It shifts the power struggle into a partnership and removes some of the fear of failure, because even if they do fail, they won't be failing alone. They have a support system there. I talk about in The Homeschool Advantage, a child-focused approach to raising lifelong learners, my newest book, that we want to be our kids' soft place to land. We want them to know that we're there for them and they can always fall back on us because we'll support them. And this is a perfect example of that. When we are removing the fear of them failing alone and letting them know we're there to pick them back up or just to give them a hug when they're down, they're more able to deal with that failure or that fear of failure because they know we're going to be there for them. The third thing we can do is we can balance autonomy and support. It's okay to walk beside our kids in decisions. That scaffolding is a stepping stone towards independence. It's not a shortcut. I was just talking to a friend today about the dismay I feel often when I'm in some of the parenting groups related to college. There are all sorts of Facebook groups related to the dorm necessities. It's the first kid I've sent off to a dorm. I didn't live in dorms when I was in college. I commuted and worked 3 jobs. I had a very different college experience than my daughter's going to have. And my oldest took some classes at community college as he built his business. So it's the first one I'm sending off. I don't know what she needs and doesn't need. In fact, she and I were just talking the other day about the fact that we realized she can't just go to my bathroom closet to get additional razors for the shower or face wash or makeup wipes, because I buy these things in bulk, either from the wholesale club or from Amazon Subscribe and Save, and I stockpile them because I have 3 girls in our house. And so feminine hygiene products, first aid things like Band-Aids or medicines like ibuprofen or acetaminophen or cold medicine. We didn't think really about the fact that she can't just go to my closet. And so we need to go get her these things because she won't have a car her first year on campus. And so if she wakes up with a sore throat or a cold beginning or congestion, she's not going to be able to go to my room to get Mucinex or cold medicine or throat lozenges. And she's not going to be able to just hop in a car and go over to CVS or Walgreens. So we need to have some of these things on hand for her. And so this is something normal. Our kids don't wake up one day at age 18 and they're instant adults. They don't get a high school diploma from us as homeschoolers or even from a traditional school and instantly know how to do every part of adulting. The college years are for that transition. And parents in these dorm prep and college prep Facebook groups can be brutal. Some can be so helpful, it's heartwarming, and you just know that they have their kids' best interests at heart. And others are like chiming in with questions like, what do you guys use to store medicine in the dorm? And what kinds of things have you seen that your kids have needed? With conversations or comments like, let them grow up. They'll figure it out on their own. They're adults now. Just leave them alone and they'll get what they need. I'm not going to be there to hold my baby's hand and she's going to have to figure out how to get cold medicine on her own. I just feel that is so rough for our kids to say, I'm sorry, you're living in a dorm now. I feel badly that you're sick, but you're just going to have to figure it out on your own. No, my daughter just said to me the other day, she's like, Mom, oftentimes if I need to pick me up in the evening, I need a quick snack, or I am not feeling well, I like to have those cup of noodles where I can just add hot water or microwave them. Do you think we can go to the wholesale club before I leave for school and get a case or two of those that I can put under my bed in a bin for the times I'm not feeling well or I didn't have a chance to get to the dining hall? This is a kid whose schedule is packed. We got a preliminary look at her schedule, and she has dance classes from 8 to 9:40 every morning, and then she has class Monday through Friday from 11:35 to 5:35 p.m. So she has a 2-hour window between dance class and the start of classes to do all of her showering, her eating, any catch up she needs to do. And then she's in classes for 6 straight hours. And then she'll possibly have a time to grab a quick dinner. But if she's involved in a show because she's a Bachelor's of Fine Arts student and is required to either perform or do backstage work on most shows, she's going to have rehearsal from 7 to 10. So this is a kid who's going to need to have some parenting help to learn how to manage that schedule. And so I want our kids to know, I want your kids to know, I want you to know it's okay to scaffold that for your kids. Help them learn the executive function skills that they need to plan out the day so that they build in time to get the shower that they need, get the rest that they need, get the homework done that they need to get done, make it to dance class, make it to all of their classes, and find time to get food in between that busy schedule and have the things that they need in their dorm so they don't have to run out to CVS every single time they need a razor or a stick of deodorant or a tube of toothpaste. So let's help our kids do that stepping stone from complete dependence on us to independence. It's not a shortcut to scaffold it. It's loving, it's kind, it's empathetic, and it helps them know, again, like I said a few minutes ago, that they don't have to fail. They don't have to be alone. We're there for them. Finally, be patient. This is a long game. Every decision they practice with you now will build a foundation for confidence, resilience, and real-world competence. And they'll know that you're there for them no matter what happens. You are doing such important work, friend. Helping your neurodivergent kid build decision-making skills. It's more than a homeschool task. It's more than a parenting task. It's a lifelong gift. The next time your kiddo panics over choosing a book or must-haves they need in their dorm so they're not running out every time they need to, or finding someone to drive them, an upperclassman to drive them because they don't have a car on campus freshman year, whenever they freeze on a writing topic or spiral over picking an elective or the class that they're going to add into their schedule so that they get the couple of gen eds that they need to get out of the way. Pause, take a breath, partner up, scaffold, reflect, and if it all crashes and burns, try again tomorrow and encourage them to do the same. Remember, if you want more support, if you ever need more support, or you feel that your kids need more support in scaffolding this, head over to the Learners Lab at raisinglifelonglearners.com/lab, or check it out in the show notes for this or any other episode on the podcast, and give it a try for a month. You can always cancel if it doesn't work out for you. So there's really nothing to lose, but we're there for you. We're building community and we're helping to scaffold your kids. Also, I'm working to sign up for and get approved by charter schools and ESA funding opportunities. So if you belong to a charter and you want the Learners Lab to be approved by your charter, shoot me a message. Let me know what charter you belong to. Give me the contact information, and we'll make sure that we prioritize the charter schools and the funding resources that you are using first so that we can get approved the places that you, my listeners, are a part of before any others. And I prioritize those because let me tell you, it's a process and I'm doing it alone. So I need your support. I need your resources, and I need to know what you need from me so that I can get this done and I can get you the support that you need and build the community that is best for you. The Learners Lab is filled with tools, classes, community for kids, and then bonuses like parent resources just for signing up and getting involved in it. I want to help you navigate the ups and downs of homeschooling neurodivergent kids. It's why I bring you all the different resources that I do. Night Zookeeper, our sponsor for the next several months of episodes, and CTC, our season-long sponsor. We appreciate CTC Math so much and all of our sponsors because without them, the podcast wouldn't be possible. Until next time, keep loving your uniquely wired kids. They are wonderful. They are exactly who they're meant to be. Find resources for this episode, links, and other things over at the show notes for this episode, raisinglifelonglearners.com/podcast. You can check out CTC Math at ctcmath.com and Night Zookeeper at nightzookeeper.com. The downside to checking them out on your own is they don't know that you heard about it on the podcast. So make sure you let them know. Make sure you appreciate their sponsorship and encourage them to continue the sponsorship so we can keep bringing you resources like this. Love on your kids this week. And if you get a chance, let me know by either reaching out through the contact form in the show notes or hitting reply if you're a part of our email list. Let me know what your best win was this week. Let me know what your best scaffolding was and how you helped your kids make decisions this week. All right, I'll be back same time, same place next week with another episode. Until then, have a great one. Love on your kids. You are an amazing parent doing amazing things, and I am so incredibly proud of you. Have a great week. I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.